Welcome to Doctor Story. So, Dr. Deepak is a bariatric surgeon, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the indication for this surgery as well as when it's necessary to do it, when it's not. And it's hopefully going to be a really good discussion especially because this is not something that we talk about very often.
So I'm Dr. Deepak. I am a senior consultant. I'm a laparoscopic and a bariatric surgeon. I work out of GEM hospitals in Chennai and Chennai Gastrocare, which is my own venture in Chennai. I've been in this field of GI surgery and bariatrics for the last 13 years, and and I'm pretty passionate about what I do, and I try to give the best of my abilities to the patients. Other than that, I'm just a simple person who goes along with the routine life. And as everybody is affected with COVID and their issues, I'm also affected by that.
So, bariatric surgery is not something very common. How did you get into this? How did you get interested?
So bariatric surgery is been there in our surgical specialty for many years now. But of course, in India, it's become popularized only in the last 10 to 15 years. So how did I get into it? I was always interested in GI surgery, gastro surgery, and I was doing a lot of laparoscopic procedures. As I was doing it, I found that a lot of patients were going through this obesity and other things. And in India, as you always know, obesity, people who are a little bit on the higher side of weight, at least 10 years back, I'm saying, were considered to be more prosperous, more, healthier. But that's not the case. I was seeing complications because of obesity. I was seeing complications like diabetes, which because of obesity that patients, and because of this. So that's when I thought, bariatric surgery is a nice field, and I thought I should get into it. I thought I should change people's lives, and that's exactly what happened in many of my patient stories. Quite a few significant number of patients had a positive response to the surgery, and everybody had their lives changed for good, not only in terms of cosmetic reasons, and not only in terms of just physical health or just the numbers when we talk about sugars and etc., but also from a mental perspective, from seeing the positive side of life. And those things really, gave me a lot of push to do this more, and I started doing more and more of this.
So, why is obesity a problem? And why is weight reduction important?
See, I think obesity, the many don't understand what exactly obesity is. If you go into the WHO dictionary about obesity, it's a long definition, but that's not what we want here. What is obesity is people think, okay, somebody is walking on the road, you see somebody, and then you say, okay, this person looks a little bit on the obese. No, when you categorize obesity, there has to be a very realistic way of categorizing it, and that's where the body mass index, or the BMI, we call it as, comes into play. So BMI is basically a simple formula that everybody can calculate at home. It is basically your weight in numerators divided by your height in meters, the whole square. Okay, so anybody between 18 to 25 is normal BMI. Anything between 25 to 30 is overweight. And anything above 30, you come under the categories of obesity. And in that, it's obesity, you have class 1, class 2, class 3, then you have morbid obesity, super obesity, etc. So if somebody is able to calculate their own body mass index and anything which is more than 30, that is when you call it as obesity. Now, what happens if you are obese? So what's wrong? You're a little bit on the higher side of weight. What is wrong? So the problem is many of these obesity, rather than many of these obese people, I would say obese people have a higher tendency to develop what is called as metabolic syndrome. Okay. Now, metabolic syndrome is nothing but a combination of diabetes, dyslipidemia, or cholesterol, high cholesterol, we call as hypertension, and many other factors. So when these things start to come in, that is when your body starts to get hit because of these problems, mainly because of diabetes. That diabetes has different types of problems in the body. It can affect your brain, it can affect your kidneys, it can affect many other things. So when this starts to kick in and uncontrolled diabetes sets in, then you go into a phase of irreversible process of, say, if your kidneys are damaged, you might have to go in for dialysis and other things, and maybe even up to a renal transplant. So wherein the whole root cause for all these problems would just be obesity. Had they corrected their obesity and maintained their weight, they wouldn't have gone through all these problems and spend so much time in the hospital having so many issues. So maintaining somebody's weight is the most prime thing at this point. I think the awareness is kicking in India. There's no doubt about that. But I would still think it's still not reached to a level of what it should have. Probably it's just there among the urban population to an extent. In the rural areas, I really doubt it has penetrated much. So the awareness is very important, and people like you and interviews like this should really take it to a lot of people and help.
So if a person is on the obese side, if their BMI is more than 30, and they already have started developing some symptoms of metabolic syndrome, or if they have parameters that suggest that they have metabolic syndrome, do you think that weight reduction would actually help reduce those parameters?
Absolutely. In fact, quite a few. I mean, I wouldn't even go up to obesity. We've seen patients in class 3 obesity, super obese category of BMI of more than 45. The diabetes is uncontrolled. We call you would have heard about this, something called as the HbA1c, basically the glycosylated hemoglobin. So that value being as high as 9 or 10, post doing a weight loss procedure or doing a bariatric surgery, we've actually these patients have reduced their HbA1c to normal levels, and the amount of medications they take for diabetes is actually reduced, or even they've completely stopped medications for diabetes and hypertension. Many factors. I mean, obesity can affect a person in a holistic manner in the body. It can affect from your head to toe, any place. I see patients with osteoarthritis of the knee post weight loss. They've completely, their knees are perfectly fine, the knee joints are fine. Today knee replacement is done so much on a routine basis, but the primary reason, the root cause, in business there's a lot of root cause analysis we always do, RCAs and stuff. But in healthcare, if people can apply that and put out root cause analysis for many things, that's what I started doing, and I found that obesity was the prime reason for so many problems around in the society. And that's all. It's pretty simple, and they can have a resolution of metabolic syndrome and diabetes if the procedures are done in the right way as well as in the right time.
So I know that several people who are obese have told me personally that their doctor suggested that they should exercise and eat less and reduce weight, but it doesn't happen for them. They try and they fail, and then they feel guilty about it. So I'm guessing this has a lot to do with the reason why bariatric surgery exists in itself. So could you explain to us what the procedure actually is? What happens?
So bariatric surgery is basically a laparoscopic procedure. It's a keyhole procedure in the abdomen, and it involves, there are two different types of bariatric surgery. Okay, so we broadly categorize them as restrictive and malabsorptive procedures. Okay, so basically, what you eat, if you look at the general physiology of a GI tract, we eat through the mouth, goes through this esophagus, enters into the stomach and the small intestines. Now, in the stomach is basically an area called as a fundus of the stomach. Okay. Now, the fundus of the stomach is the area where the volume of food gets stored. That's one. And second, it also produces this hormone called as ghrelin, which is secreted in the fundus of the stomach. Now, it's 1 p.m. today, and our tummies, you feel hungry. That's because of the ghrelin that is produced from the fundus of the stomach, which makes you feel hungry. Now, in bariatric surgery, in restrictive types of surgery, as I was mentioning to you about, we reduce the stomach volume into a small size of the stomach. Basically, we make the stomach into a tubular stomach, and we eliminate the fundus of the stomach. Now, because of that, two things occur. One, restrictive effect. Whatever you eat less. One. Second, even though you eat, you don't feel much hungry about it because the ghrelin effect is gone. So that's the effect on restrictive procedures like laparoscopic sleeve gastrectomy, etc. Whereas when you come to a malabsorptive procedure like a gastric bypass, which is the most common procedure in malabsorptive, what we do is we also give a restrictive capacity. We make the stomach into a small pouch in the small area and bring the small intestine and anastomose it to the pouch there. So basically, you're malabsorbing the amount of, you are changing the absorption of food here by bypassing quite a bit of the small intestine, and the food directly enters into the distal half of the small intestine, and the malabsorptive effect is created. So the question that is mostly asked here is, when you have so much of malabsorption, do you go through a lot of side effects, etc., etc.? Generally not, because most of the times the vitamins and minerals that are absorbed are more absorbed in the terminal ileum, etc., and in the stomach. So we supplement them with a little bit of vitamins and minerals. But generally, if the right procedure is done for the right patient, it's a 100% successful surgery.
And this is not obviously the first option. So when would you say this is indicated?
Yeah, so bariatric surgery has clear-cut indications. The guidelines that have been given by the International Society and the Obesity Surgery Society are pretty much clear. So anybody who's above a body mass index, as I told you the formula before, of more than 34, then they come under a category of bariatric surgery. If somebody is above the body mass index of 33 or 32 and have diabetes or hypertension, then also they come under the category of bariatric surgery. So we don't offer bariatric surgery for somebody who just comes and says, I have excess body weight of 10 kg. I need to reduce 7-8 kg. No, bariatric surgery is not the way forward. In fact, one of the prerequisites for bariatric surgery is somebody who would have tried good dieting and exercise for a significant proportion of time and not being successful with that and still not able to reduce weight. That's when we offer bariatric surgery, because once the surgery is done, it is very important that they need to follow a very healthy type of diet, healthy lifestyle, have a good lifestyle, walking, exercise, and diet wise. So that's very, very important. And so we try and get a psychological evaluation by giving them a 3-month program for dieting and exercise. And if they fail in that, that's when we plan for a bariatric surgery for them. So the indications are pretty clear, as I told you. So we don't jump and do it for anyone and everyone.
Are there restrictions on people who it cannot be done on?
Yeah. So there is certain contraindications. So somebody who's extremely sick, there obviously any anesthesia related contraindications are going to be contraindications for bariatric surgery. Second, we probably don't do it in children. Okay, there are centers which do it as a research things, because childhood obesity is increasing these days. But generally, the recommendations for surgery is a age group of between 18 to about 65 or 70, 68, sorry. Anybody who's in the outliers, that is more than 70, 75 or less than, say 15, we don't offer them bariatric surgery because there are other methods to do it. People who we don't do it, as I told you, is people who are just on the overweight criteria. We have other solutions for weight loss for them other than dieting and exercise. But generally, this is done clearly under indications of the BMI being the most common indicator.
Okay. Now, there's this movement that's going on across the world now where people are encouraging one another to be proud of their body shape. So I'm guessing that bariatric surgery, amongst other things, gets some bad rep because of this. Are there any myths or, problems that you face because of this? Because people think that it's predominantly cosmetic.
See, no, not really. One of the main problems that we found that when people were thinking that bariatric surgery is cosmetic was we found that from insurance companies. Insurance companies wherein this is clearly done for metabolic syndrome, they would be giving insurance for a person who's having diabetes and the diabetes-related complications. But when we go ahead with the surgery solution for resolution of diabetes, they started calling it cosmetic surgery. But this is how the whole evolution started. Bariatric surgery in US was very, very common before, but then it was not covered by insurance. But then slowly the insurance companies realized it, and then they said, you know what, we are going to cover bariatric surgery. So most states in US cover bariatric surgery fully with insurance. In the UK, the NHS initially said no, but NHS now covers bariatric surgery. They have a huge waiting list at this point as we speak. In India, now insurance has come up. For the last few months, now insurance is offering bariatric surgery for patients and covering insurance. So that was one area where we found, cosmos is being spoken about a lot. But otherwise, I think most patients, if you ask a patient who's undergone bariatric surgery, I think the last word that would come out of their mouth is, I'm looking better now. No, there are other positive things that they will talk about before, and then they will say, yes, you know what, I'm also looking better. They will start telling about the positive aspect they're going through in life, the change mentally that they had. Most obese patients have a little bit of phobia, have a social phobia, but all that is when they lost, they become so much more positive in their own lifestyle, and that's the more important aspect they will talk about, rather than I look better, now I feel better, I started wearing clothes that are better. That's the last thing I think they will talk about.
Okay, thank you so much. That must have been quite a strange question for you. So, my last question is for people who are not at a stage where they need bariatric surgery. It may be that they're in this initial period where you would like them to try other things which are not so invasive. So, do you think you could tell us a little bit about what that initial phase may include and how we could use this to help ourselves from not gaining too much weight?
Yeah, so it's very simple. Most of the times we all talk about obesity. We talk about when somebody looks, only when somebody looks a little bit on the heavier side. We say, somebody's walking on the road, or somebody known to us. We even met this person in like 6 months, and then that person comes up to us. They're walking, and then we look at them, and they're a little on the higher side. We say, oh, this guy's gained weight. This guy. So it's individual, it's customized. Many people are happy about the way that they are. I think we should respect that, and that's something which I always talk about, because sometimes parents bring their kids and say, you know what, he's gained a lot of weight, but the kid is happy, and they're quite happy. And sometimes the kid brings the parent and say he's gained weight. He's happy, he's about 55 years old, he's happy, he's having a retired life. So I think we should not disturb those people. At the end of the day, one should feel that they are gaining weight. That's the most important criteria. One should feel that, what, I am gaining weight and I am uncomfortable. I do not want to gain further weight and have medical issues because of that. That's the first and foremost thing that one should look for. And once that is there, the belief and the self-confidence to reduce weight is there. And then there are multiple ways to do it. And there are multiple, I'm not going to talk about the ways to do it, but I'm going to tell you, if somebody feels that they've gained weight and they've started to feel a little lethargic, or rather not being so active like before, I think that's the first point where somebody needs to check out and say, you know what, I need to correct my weight. Now I need to go to a specialist. I need to find out what are the solutions for this, and I will try and get this across. And coming to a weight loss specialist does not mean that there is going to be a procedure that is offered for them always. No, that it's a comprehensive, it's a holistic solution that most of our weight loss centers give, including us. We have a nutritionist on board, we have a clinical psychologist on board, we have medications, we have endoscopic therapies, and finally, last is bariatric surgery. And that's where it comes to. So, when somebody is just on the overweight criteria, we just give them good dieting and exercise and motivate them through our clinical psychologists to make sure, they are losing weight in the right way they are.
That's very nice to know. So, if a patient listening to this wants to get in touch with you, how can they do that? Where can they find you?
So I work out of my clinic, Chennai Gastrocare. So usually there's a website, www.chennaigastrocare.in. Or I can share my email ID and my numbers to you. You can post it in Doctor Story along with this. That should take care of it. Otherwise, you can just Google my name across. You should be able to find out where I am in GEM hospitals or in Chennai Gastrocare. That's where I usually consult in Chennai. Yeah. Otherwise, I sometimes offer video consults too for patients, and phone consults. If that's the case, if that's what they want, they're not in Chennai, that can be facilitated as well.
Okay. Thank you so much for doing this interview with us.
Yeah. It was a pleasure talking to you, and nice knowing you.
Thank you.